Hey, we're live. Thanks for joining me. I just wanted to cover a couple of quick subjects with everybody. First of all, you'll see that I have added a real-time display. This comes from the MISO app. You can download it on your phone and you can get this information just like I do. I check it almost daily, actually. But it gives you a real-time indication of where your energy is being produced from. Now, on a hot day like this, where everybody across all of Illinois is running their air conditioning, I think it's important that we understand that guess what? Wind and solar are not powering your AC. You are getting no relief from wind and solar. In fact, in the MISO region, which is pretty much downstate Illinois, and then it goes, I mean, the MISO region goes all the way up into Canada, all the way down to Louisiana. And of course, it takes up probably 2/3 of Illinois. It gets its power from the MISO region. That would be 2/3 of the less populated parts of it. The rest is PJM, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But if you look at this graphic, which you can pull to at any time, you can see that coal is producing about 32% of the electricity needs. And I took this screenshot this morning, by the way, so it's not just from this afternoon, it's this morning. You also see natural gas is about 36%. Nuclear is a smaller percentage in the MISO region. And then, of course, wind and solar are down there to, almost inconsequential amounts. Solar being just over 10%, wind at about 4%. So that's what it looks like in the MISO region. Now let's pull up the PJM. Okay, so this is the PJM region. Oh boy, let's see if we can get that a little bit better. Okay, the PJM region, you'll see the blue area is natural gas production. The purple is coal production. The yellow is nuclear production. And then you've got a touch of solar and a touch of wind. Solar at this time and they don't show you the percentages like MISO did. I don't know why not. I wish they did. But when I did the calculation here, solar was producing just over 8%. Wind was really de minimis. You can see it's almost nothing there. Nuclear and coal about even, but really natural gas is what's producing in the PJM market. The PJM market goes into it's Chicago and the suburbs, pretty much out to sort of Rockford area about, and then it goes all the way to the East Coast, picking up quite a few states. And so that's the PJM market. And just so you know, as soon as you get your energy is produced, it goes up to the grid. And then the PJM and MISO people, they direct that energy where it needs to go. It just goes up the transmission line. So there's a lot of controversy coming about now. You've got Meta, who set a 20-year power purchase agreement with the Clinton nuclear plant here in the state of Illinois. And they're saying they're doing it because, they just believe in it. They just believe in renewable energy. They think nuclear is a good thing to do. So they're investing and they're attempting to invest in 100% renewable energies. That does not mean that Meta's energy needs are met only by renewable energy, and quote unquote, I want to say air quotes here, renewable energy, because truthfully, it's not really renewable energy, because all of the facets that produce a windmill, that make a solar panel, are not renewable. And in fact, those assets that actually the hardware that surrounds a solar panel or a windmill are made with fossil fuels. So they're not quote unquote renewable, and they're certainly not reliable at all. We know that. And neither are the battery storage that they want to add as a way to make renewables truly a more consistent source of energy. That's not going to work either. We've had this whole discussion before with Steve Gorham. If you haven't seen that live that I did with him, it's very informative, about an hour long. And he'll tell you that battery storage itself is 9 times more expensive than producing the energy that you need for the amount of battery storage that you can get. So this is all a joke. It's a real joke. But I think it's really important on hot days like this to remind people that still the bulk of your energy is coming from coal, natural gas, and nuclear power. And so the fact that JB Pritzker wants to get rid of those anytime soon is just disgusting. I mean, the guy has no idea what he's doing. But JB Pritzker, hey, listen, every single paper, every single major paper is saying that JB Pritzker is, and I'm reading from the WBEZ Chicago Post on this, Governor JB Pritzker to announce run for 3rd term on Thursday, sources say. Pritzker will make his reelection campaign official with kickoff events in Chicago and Springfield, but it's still unknown whom he'll tap as a running mate. Because, of course, Juliana Stratton has decided that she's going to run for U.S. Senate. Oh, what a disaster that would be. She would be terrible in the U.S. Senate. I mean, what does she know about anything? Foreign policy, economics, you name it. She was a pick for J.B. Pritzker because of her identity, and that was it. There's no other outstanding thing about Juliana Stratton. Her record prior to being lieutenant governor and her record as lieutenant governor, she's been a disaster. She's nothing but a political hack. So we don't know who he's going to choose as his next political hack, but it does look like Pritzker is going to run for a third term. And this whole topic of energy is something that we need to wrap our heads around because he's been terrible about this policy. Now, I want to show you there's something here to be said about J.B. Pritzker. We're going to add this to the stage. So this is a picture from J.B. Pritzker's Think Big America website, and as you can see, Think Big America is his big idea about making sure that everybody has a right to abortion. So maybe you can't read what this lady's shirt says, but it says Illinois, where you can get a safe, legal abortion. Notice how they don't say rare. Notice how they don't say rare. And they shouldn't be saying safe, because I have brought to you numerous cases where abortions have not turned out well for the women. Most importantly is that Champaign abortionist who is being sued for leaving over half of a fetus inside a woman, created a actual medical emergency for her. She came in from out of state. This guy's a butcher, an absolute butcher. And I revealed on my radio program, in case you missed it on Sunday, there is sources say that particular abortionist is getting fined, and he is getting some retribution from Illinois Department of Professional Regulation. But that is not enough. The guy should not even be operating in the state of Illinois. But there's nothing safe about abortion in Illinois. Abortion clinics are not regulated. They're not inspected regularly. And it's the wild, wild west. And the abortion pill is just handed out like it's candy. And in fact, under Pritzker, they just put in that bill that said that Illinois public universities must dispense the abortion pill on campuses where there's a health clinic. And that is going to be done with little oversight as well. So there's nothing safe about abortion, but this is his big idea. This is his big whole thing is abortion. That was his Think Big idea. Now, I think this is also interesting because, as you see here, this little banner here says protect choice. Protect choice. Well, gee, Governor Pritzker, you don't actually care about protecting choice. School choice, vaccination choices, whether or not businesses can stay open during a pandemic, church attendance during a pandemic. There's nothing that you agree with when it comes to actual personal choice. Only when the case of abortion or transgender rights. But you don't care about parental choices. You don't care to make sure parents make informed choices. You don't care about indoctrination in schools. People can't opt out of your comprehensive sex ed at schools. They don't have choices there either. They're completely indoctrinated in your government schools. So, I mean, his idea of choice is actually not to give you a choice. He is ruled with tyranny. That is part of his record. Now, another part of his record, because I think this is really important, and I'm just going to put this graphic up here for right now. I'll add this to the stage. Maybe I'll even, let's see, maybe you can see it better there. But this is a graphic that the Democrats put out following the end of session. It says, here's what Illinois Democrats delivered for you in the state budget. Now, this is a really good thing to kind of go through because it kind of tells you exactly what Pritzker's record is. They say that they had historic investment in K through 12 schools, adding $307 million to the EBF funding formula. Well, it's really not historic. That's basically the normal increase. That's what the law requires them to do, if at all possible. And actually they usually put $350 million towards it and even more towards property tax relief, this time $307 million. And guess what they're doing? They're doing nothing for property tax relief. They say they invested $200 million in workforce compensation grants for early childhood educators. Well, honestly, the marketplace should determine the pricing and not a government subsidy as to how much you have for compensation for early childhood educators. But you know what? You don't get a choice as a taxpayer in what you subsidize there or not. He says that they increased MAP funding by $10 million, making higher education more accessible. Well, the truth is that MAP funding is also going to non citizens in Illinois. Governor Pritzker has greatly expanded that. That's part of his record. They say they increased child care assistance funding by 170 million, making child care more affordable for working families. The truth is that parents, you need two parents just to earn enough in this state to pay for the high taxes, especially property taxes, the highest taxes overall, the state and local tax burden in the nation. So just handing them out child care credits on the backside does not make it more affordable for working families. They say they invested more than 50 million to protect and improve reproductive health care. That means they invested $50 million into abortion that taxpayers are funding, whether it's the abortion hotline, whether it's security grants for abortion clinics, whether it's outright grants for operations to abortion clinics, which we have talked about here numerous times. That's happening too. 50 million more in the state budget, the record state budget. They say they streamlined admissions for Illinois high school students to get into in-state colleges. Well, the truth is, numerous high schoolers are still choosing to go out of state. Why? Because it's more affordable for them to do so. Illinois still has the highest tuition and fees, except for private colleges in their conferences. The highest tuition and fees by a long shot. They also said as one of their accomplishments, historic investments in improving roads, bridges, and infrastructures across Illinois. Well, hey, you know what? All of us think that it is a core responsibility of government to improve our roads and bridges and our infrastructure. We all agree. The way that he's doing this, though, is this is an achievement on the back of taxpayers. He doubled your gas tax in 2019, and it goes up every single July 1st. It's about to hit next week. You're going to get another gas tax increase. I think it's going to be about 3 cents more per gallon. And if we're not at the highest gas tax in the entire country yet, we should be considered that as when you add sales tax onto the taxes, we certainly are higher, and you get taxed on the tax. And I think we've covered that before. But I mean, so this is part of his record too. High taxes, support for illegals, abortion that taxpayers have to fund, you name it, subsidies for all of his favored constituencies. That's part of his record, a record that he's not going to talk about. He's going to talk about it in euphemistic terms that sound great, and they're just garbage. And I want people to be aware of this ahead of his announcement on Thursday for his reelect. Let's just go down some more things. He's had radical cultural policies. That begins with the 2019 Reproductive Health Act. That includes his transgender guidance for schools. That means mandating access to trans procedures in insurance policies. That means comprehensive sex ed. Remember, SB 818 passed under him. That means laws that went after pregnancy centers that basically got shot down by the court and never put in place because the judge said that your law preventing pregnancy centers from having to speak about, or your law saying the pregnancy centers had to refer for abortion, the court said was stupid and very likely unconstitutional, as it was compelled speech. So that's part of his record too, his anti-free speech and compelled speech policies. Look, let's go back over some financial issues with Pritzker. He was, remember, Illinois was the only state to borrow general operation federal funds during COVID, the only state. But for over 13 billion in direct support to the state during COVID, he would have never balanced his budget. COVID money to individuals and businesses saved income and sales tax receipts, keeping them high. And inflation during Biden also created inflated revenue from sales taxes and income taxes as well. He's had ever increasing budgets. Every single year has been a record budget under Governor Pritzker, culminating with a 37% increase in 6 years in this latest budget, up by over $13 billion. Remember, he lost $5 billion to unemployment fraud because he could not run his agencies correctly during COVID. And then he charged businesses more just to replenish the fund. Remember, he spent COVID money on new programs, migrant health care, bogus NGOs, and then all the financial waste going to Goshen and Rivian and other renewable energy subsidies. We have the second highest gas tax officially in the state of Illinois. I think we're actually number one. We're in the bottom 10 for unemployment rate, higher than the national average. And we're the third worst place to locate businesses if you look at the CEO magazine's information. It's been tyranny. Remember, 42 months of COVID orders, one of the last states to give relief from masks and social distancing. Remember, we had to sue to get children to go to school without a mask. He wasted $63 million on a temporary COVID hospital that housed a couple dozen people. He has spent billions on illegal immigrants since the crisis has come into play, and he won't even admit it. Remember, he put a book ban law in place. He passed the Safety Act, which has allowed criminals to roam free and reoffend. He passed a gun ban law that is now elements of it are before the Supreme Court, and that will likely get overturned. Anyway, this is his record. It's a record that people should be very much aware of. And you know what? On the flip side, he's done literally nothing for property tax relief. Now, both Texas and Florida have made huge strides in working towards property tax relief, and they're doing it just this year. Neither state, neither Texas nor Florida, have an income tax, and yet they are still able to provide billions in tax relief, property tax relief to their citizens. That's not typical. Usually, if you don't have an income tax, you use some other mechanism to get the revenue that you need to run your government. But Texas and Florida realize the burden of property taxes, and they are making efforts to reduce that. But not Governor Pritzker. He's all in for all taxes. He does not protect property tax owners. You've seen the South suburbs decimated by double-digit percentage increases in assessments and in pure taxes. He's scamming people out of their homes by making it unaffordable for them to even pay their tax bills. So this is his record, honestly. He's chased businesses out. How many businesses have left under Pritzker? Oh, let's see. Boeing headquarters, Ken Griffin moved out. I forgot that Tyson moved out. John Deere threatened. I don't know if they actually did with Trump coming back in, but John Deere, Caterpillar, oh gosh, there's been a number of other smaller level businesses too that have just fled the state under Pritzker. Chicago's decimated. You can go down there and literally there's not a whole lot of activity when it comes to shopping. Crime's reduced somewhat, but that's because that's been the trend across the United States, is decreasing crime just in this last year. Of course, you saw accelerated crime from 2019 through 2023 when Pritzker was in charge, and he didn't do anything about it. He did nothing about halting the George Floyd riots that happened in 2020 and protecting business owners then. The guy's been a complete and utter disaster. What is better in your life under Governor Pritzker? What? Nothing. I'll tell you what, though, this is even more disturbing because we know, like I started with, his big idea is, of course, abortion. And this, I covered this on my radio show, but many of you may have missed this story, but I think it's a really important story. A new Chicago clinic provides all trimester abortions up to roughly 34 weeks of pregnancy. Now, a lot of politicians don't like to talk about this. Oh, we can't talk about abortion. Well, yeah, hell yeah, we should talk about abortion, because the Democrats have been down there in Springfield lying to you about this issue, saying we do not allow abortion past the moment of viability. Well, viability is becoming a lower and lower threshold. It's now below 22 weeks. They can save babies. And here you have a clinic bragging that they are opening up their second clinic to allow for roughly 34 weeks of pregnancy. 34 weeks of pregnancy. That's full term in most cases. This happens all the time. 34-week deliveries happen all the time. Hope Clinic, a longtime abortion provider in Southern Illinois, opened a second location in the Uptown neighborhood June 2nd, advertising all trimester abortions. Quote, Hope Clinic is now open in Chicago, IL, expanding our care through all trimesters, exclamation point. And OMG, we couldn't be more excited. That's what the clinic's Instagram page announced. Everyone deserves access to abortion care whenever they need it, because deciding and acting on what's best for you shouldn't be on anyone else's timeline. This is how ghoulish Illinois has become under Governor Pritzker. And these 34-week abortions will be funded by taxpayers. That's why they're opening up a second clinic. Anyway, that's his legacy, and that's who he is, and it's going to only get worse if people give him a third term. And so with his big announcement on Thursday, it should be a big, massive rejection of Governor Pritzker for a third term. He's done enough damage already, folks. He needs to be stopped. He's a very dangerous man. And I'm personally kind of shocked that he's running. I don't think that he really likes the job, but he's got enough money that he can just show up when he needs to and pay other people. In fact, he pays certain staff a premium to work for him. So he doesn't really have to work. He just follows their talking points. And then he can go out and pretend like he's running for president, which he'll be soundly rejected for doing. So anyway, I just wanted to come in here, talk about this a little bit ahead of time, about his reelect and how awful he's been for the state of Illinois. You know what? One more point on this. Oh gosh, I can't forget this. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Let's see here. We're going to add this one too. See if I can add this one up here. Well, I'm having a little problem here. I think my screen might have frozen. Okay, let's see if I can pull this one up. Oh yeah, remember this? There we go. How about Mike Madigan? How about Mike Madigan? What do you do about Mike Madigan? What has he done about corruption, ethics reform, anything? Nothing. Nothing. Still the most corrupt city in the country is Chicago. Last time UIC did the report, Illinois was the third most corrupt state. I think we've moved up in rankings with the Madigan sentencing at this point and conviction. So, you know, he's done nothing in terms of corruption. If you listen to my watchdog segments, you'll know that corruption doesn't just happen in Chicago. It's happening everywhere. You've got local officials absolutely ignoring the law and state's attorneys refusing to enforce it. And you've got Kwame Raoul under J.B. Pritzker not doing anything about it. So the state's corrupt. Nobody's changing that. The state is fiscally bankrupt. We owe more than we own. And, you know, Pritzker has provided no relief to property tax owners. He's provided, he's done terrible when it comes to schools. The schools are in worse shape, not better shape. And he keeps raising our taxes for his special interest projects. So there you go. If you want to be continue to be ruled by a tyrant, then J.B. Pritzker's your man. If you want something different, if you want change, then you have to vote for somebody else other than J.B. Pritzker come next year. All right, signing off for now. Thanks for joining me on this live.